Let's talk a little bit about the slavery racism issue, because it's definitely at the forefront today. If we have done so well, why are we being so vilified now?
A lot is because we don't know our own history very well at all. We don't even know global history very well. Constitutionally speaking, only 24% of Americans can name the three branches of government. If you can't name something that simple, that's a problem. And by the way, 48% of elected officials cannot name the three branches of government.
Wow.
So if you don't know something that simple, you're not going to know much about history. And so as we see even statues coming down supposedly in the name of racism, statues that are being torn down are absolutely of what we would call equality leaders, those who fought racism. And yet their statues are being torn down because nobody really knows who they are today, or it's just kind of a hate America kind of a deal. We've gotten to the point where we're saying, well, America's responsible for racism. If we want to get rid of racism, we're going to have to get rid of America as we know it. We need a different economic system, different political system, different education system. And so we're throwing the baby out with the bathwater, not realizing that that's a wrong description. A great example is we were talking to some young people a couple of weeks ago. They were told by their professor that of the 12.7 million slaves taken involuntarily out of Africa, that those 12.7 million came to America. Well, 12.7 million were taken involuntarily out of Africa, but it wasn't 12.7 million that came here. America got 2.5% of those slaves, 300,000. We were one of the least nations in receiving slaves. Now, we shouldn't have received any, didn't need any slaves, but nonetheless, we're not the great world perpetrator. 43% of those slaves went to Portugal and to Brazil. 24% went to Great Britain. 15% went to Spain. 11% went to France. 2.5% went to America. We're one of the least offended nations at that time in world history. And so most folks don't know that today. They think America is the great world leader in slavery. No, America was number one. We signed the first law in the world to end the slave trade. So we're the first nation to take a stand on that. America was the fourth nation in the world to abolish slavery, and that was 1865. So we're really only talking 150 years that the world's been interested in abolishing slavery, but we were at the forefront of that. And you look today, and people are focused on America and claiming racism everywhere. And yes, there's some racism, because as long as you have humans involved, you're going to have some problems. But it's interesting that today, as we sit here speaking right now, there are 94 nations that are members of the UN that still have not criminalized slavery today. So out of 195 nations in the world today, half of them still have not criminalized slavery. And currently, as we speak, there are 40 million active slaves in the world today. Now, in the African slave trade of nearly 4 centuries, we're talking 12.7 million. We got 3 times that today, and people are focused on how bad America is. Oh my gosh. Let's look across the world and wake up and realize how different we are. We're not perfect, but my gosh, we're not the world leader in racism and inequality that's claimed, that's for sure.